Usually when we think about these massive multi-million-dollar corporations, we really only ever get to see the polished front end.
Oh, absolutely. The highly curated stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, think about walking into a luxury car dealership. The floors are, completely spotless. The lighting is perfectly angled to catch the metallic paint, and the salespeople are wearing these tailored suits.
Yeah, and absolutely everything in that environment is meticulously designed to basically make you feel comfortable handing over your credit card.
Right. It's an experience.
It's entirely by design. I mean,
Yeah.
you see the glossy commercials on television, the perfectly scripted press releases, the pristine product packaging. It's all a very tightly controlled narrative.
Yeah, a narrative intended to project stability and value to the public.
Precisely.
But then, you stumble into the world of high-level direct selling, what most people call network marketing, and suddenly that whole glossy storefront is just stripped away.
Completely gone. You're dropped straight into the boiler room.
Yeah, the fluorescent lights are harsh, the conversations are incredibly blunt, and you are looking at the raw, unfiltered mechanics of how people are actually convinced to part with their money.
And honestly, more importantly, how they part with their time.
Exactly. So, welcome to the Deep Dive, learner. Today, we are granting you a really rare behind-the-scenes look into the internal operations of a major direct selling wellness company in India called Indus Viva.
Yeah, and our source material today is really fascinating. It's a recorded transcript of an internal live Q&A session from an event called Webathon Season 16.
Right. And this event is hosted by a man named Rajesh Sangwan. But the main attraction, the person fielding all the really difficult questions, is a top-tier company mentor named Prem Kumar.
And within this ecosystem, this guy is treated like an absolute legend.
Oh, totally. I mean, they
Go
literally introduce him by talking about his 5 crore Lamborghini.
Yeah, which is a massive flex.
It really is. He is someone who has clearly made it to the very peak of this organizational pyramid, right? And in this recording, he is laying out exactly how he did it to his entire downline.
Which, for those unfamiliar with the terminology, just means the massive network of salespeople who have been recruited beneath him.
Right. So that gives us a very specific mission for you today, learner. We are going to decode the psychological frameworks, the raw sales strategies, and the rather intense leadership philosophies that drive a multi-million-dollar network marketing machine.
Because listening to this transcript, I mean, it really serves as a masterclass in how top earners manage objections.
Yeah, how they motivate these sprawling teams and how they strictly define who is and who isn't worth their time.
It's ruthless, honestly.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this by starting with something that seems totally counterintuitive right out of the gate.
I know exactly what you're going to bring up.
Yeah, I want to bring up the first major question from the Q&A, which comes from a distributor named A.K. Agarwal from Haryana.
Right, the inactive ID issue.
Exactly. He asks a very specific technical question about inactive distributors. He basically points out that if someone signs up in the system but doesn't buy or sell anything for 6 months, their ID just gets suspended.
Yeah, they can't log into the portal. They can't share affiliate links. They're essentially frozen out of the business.
And Agarwal is deeply frustrated by this because getting those people unsuspended is just a massive administrative headache.
Oh yeah, to get an ID reactivated, Agarwal explains he has to, draft emails, navigate the corporate bureaucracy, and carbon copy his diamond upline.
Which is essentially his high-ranking regional boss, right?
Right, just to push the paperwork through. And by the time the issue is finally resolved, the casual customer has completely lost interest anyway.
Right. So he's asking Prem Kumar, why does the system do this? Why make it so incredibly hard to keep these people in our network?
And Prem Kumar's response is surprisingly aggressive.
It really is. I mean, he doesn't offer a workaround at all. He essentially tells Agarwal to completely ignore these people.
Yeah. He says if someone is only buying one product every few months just to keep their ID active, they aren't worth a single second of a leader's time.
Wow. And he uses this vivid cricket analogy to drive the point home, which I loved.
Oh, the vegetable stand one.
Yeah. He tells the audience to imagine you were the captain of a cricket team playing a live, high-stakes match. And you've picked a wicket keeper who is basically a part-timer. His main job is running a vegetable stand.
Right.
And in the middle of the game, while the opposing team is bowling, a customer shows up at the vegetable stand. So the wicketkeeper just drops his gloves, turns his back on the pitch, and abandons the match to go sell some cabbage.
Leaving the entire team exposed and vulnerable at a critical moment. It's a great visual.
It is. And Prem Kumar asks the audience to imagine the absolute disaster that would cause. He argues that relying on a part-timer in your business is exactly the same. You just cannot depend on them when the stakes are high.
But, I think we have to pause here
Yeah, why?
because this contradicts the entire public narrative of the industry.
Oh, wait, you're right. Isn't direct selling almost always marketed specifically as a side hustle?
Exactly. The whole pitch is usually, work from home, make a few extra bucks in your spare time, be your own boss.
Right, so why is he taking such a hardline stance against the very people who usually make up the bulk of these networks?
Well, what's fascinating here is how clearly he draws a hard line in the sand. That is the core paradox of the industry.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So the marketing brochure might say side hustle to get people in the door,
Yeah.
right? But the structural reality of network marketing at the highest levels is entirely different.
Different how?
The top earners, the ones driving the Lamborghinis like Prem Kumar, view this as a full-time, life-altering pursuit. They understand that passive income, the kind that generates generational wealth, it doesn't come from 1,000 people buying one product casually.
Right.
It comes from building an army of highly committed, full-time leaders who replicate the system over and over.
Ah, I see. So if a leader is spending their afternoon doing administrative paperwork just to reactivate a casual buyer's ID so they can buy one bottle of juice,
Exactly.
then that leader isn't out there recruiting new builders. It's a massive opportunity cost.
Precisely. And Prem Kumar actually offers a structural solution to filter these people out, which he calls the President's Club.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the transcript, but the mechanics weren't entirely clear to me. How does the President's Club actually function as a filter?
So it basically acts as an upfront financial and psychological commitment.
Uh-huh.
Instead of a distributor buying one single product a month just to stay active in the system,
Uh-huh.
Prem encourages his leaders to push recruits to buy 40 products all at once.
40 products, just right out of the gate.
Yes. And in exchange for that massive upfront purchase, the company gives them a full year of active status without any monthly maintenance hassle.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Plus, they get 4 free bonus products and a potential 20,000 rupee retail profit margin if they manage to sell them all.
Wow. That is a brilliant application of the sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, absolutely is.
Like, if you balk at buying 40 products up front, you're clearly a part-timer, and Prem Kumar is telling his leaders to just let you go.
Yep. Goodbye.
But if you drop that much cash all at once, you are financially locked in. You literally have to work the business just to recoup your initial investment.
Right. It's a ruthless way to protect a leader's time by making the recruit prove their commitment financially.
Yeah, it filters out the uncommitted instantly.
But, here is where the friction really starts.
Oh.
Because if you are filtering out casual buyers and demanding massive upfront commitments from people, you suddenly have to justify a premium price tag to a highly skeptical audience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the biggest objection in any sales pitch anywhere in the world, the press.
The dreaded price objection.
Yeah. So a distributor named Khushbu from Agra asks Prem Kumar what to do when people inevitably complain that the wellness products are just too expensive.
And Prem lays down a golden rule of sales here. He says, never put the price before the value.
Right. In sales psychology, price is what you pay and value is what you get.
Exactly. If the customer thinks it's expensive, it simply means the salesperson hasn't done a good enough job building up the perceived value to outweigh the cost.
But Prem Kumar takes it a step further, and he makes this fascinating psychological flip.
Oh, I loved this part.
Right. He says he actually gets happy when a prospect says the product is expensive.
Which sounds crazy at first.
It does. He tells Khushbu that if a prospect thinks a product is expensive, it just means their, quote, pocket is small.
Yeah, they literally lack the financial resources to comfortably afford it.
Exactly. And that, he says, is the ultimate cue to stop pitching the physical product entirely and start pitching the business opportunity.
It is a highly calculated pivot. He suggests saying something along the lines of, if I give you this product for free, are you willing to work for it?
Man, that is essentially weaponizing their own financial insecurity.
It really is.
Because if they don't have the money to buy the premium juice, then they are exactly the person who desperately needs the business that sells the premium juice.
Yep. It completely reframes the power dynamic of the conversation.
It turns a flat rejection of a product into a recruitment pitch for a new lifestyle.
It literally changes the product being sold. The product is no longer a bottle of wellness juice. The product becomes financial freedom.
That's wild.
But this constant battle over price leads to another very common question asked by Poonam from Jaipur.
Oh, this was a great question. Poonam says, look, if these products like iPulse and iCoffee are so amazing.
Right. They're like a magic cure-all.
Yeah, why aren't they advertised on television? Why don't I see them on a billboard next to Dabur Chyawanprash or Titan watches?
That is the million-dollar question for any multi-level marketing company.
Right. If the physical product is so undeniably great, why rely on this complex, often secretive word-of-mouth distribution model?
Well, Prem Kumar actually gives a very detailed economic defense of the direct selling model to answer her.
Yeah, he uses her own example of Titan watches.
Right. He says to make Titan a household name, the Tata company has to spend massive, bloated budgets.
We are talking millions upon millions of rupees on airport billboards, full-page newspaper spreads, and celebrity endorsements.
Paying icons like MS Dhoni or Shah Rukh Khan just to hold the product in a 30-second commercial.
Yeah, traditional advertising overhead.
And Prem explains that Indus Viva, which is a 13-year-old company, simply takes that massive 60 to 70% advertising and distribution budget, and instead of giving it to a celebrity or a television network,
they pay it directly to the distributors.
Exactly. The distributors themselves are the brand ambassadors.
But hold on, that is a very convenient way to frame the economics, don't you think?
What do you mean?
Well, he claims the massive ad budget just gets cleanly shifted to the distributors as profit, but he's leaving out a massive variable, risk.
Right.
In a traditional model, the company takes on all the inventory risk and marketing costs. In direct selling, the distributor is the one taking on the risk by buying 40 products upfront, storing them in their garage, and acting as an unpaid marketing agency until they make a sale.
Yeah, it's not just a shifting of profits, it's a shifting of liability.
Exactly.
That is an excellent point, and it highlights the hidden cost of the model. But, Prem adds a second highly critical point about the nature of the product itself that explains why they can't just put it on a shelf.
Oh, right, the context argument.
Yeah. He tells Poonam that you simply cannot sell a premium health beverage like iPulse, which costs 3,100 rupees through a passive billboard.
Because of the context, right. Without context, a 3,100 rupee bottle of juice sounds absolutely absurd.
Exactly. If a consumer is walking down the aisle of a supermarket and sees a bottle of iPulse sitting there without any explanation, their brain automatically categorizes it alongside standard, cheap fruit juices.
They will look at the price tag and say, why on earth would I pay 3,100 rupees for this when I can buy a liter of Appy or real fruit juice for a fraction of that?
Yep. The product requires a one-on-one demonstration to justify its premium price tag.
So the distributor isn't just delivering a physical item. They are delivering the narrative and the context that makes the high price acceptable to the buyer's brain.
Right. But if we follow that logic, it creates an immediate point of friction.
How so?
Well, if the product requires so much one-on-one explanation and you have to really convince someone of its specific health benefits, shouldn't the distributors just target the people who desperately need those benefits?
You mean target the sick people?
Yeah.
Which seems completely logical. If you have a health product, find people with health problems.
Exactly.
And that's exactly the issue Amar Paul from Haryana brings up. He says that in his region, the only people willing to buy the products are sick people, patients dealing with real ailments. But Amar Paul is complaining that once these patients buy the product, it's incredibly hard to recruit them to become business builders.
Right.
They just want to feel better. They have zero interest in selling juice to their neighbors.
And this is where Prem Kumar lays down his core philosophy, which serves as a very strict warning to his entire team.
He emphatically tells everyone, do not chase illness, chase wellness.
Yes.
He explains that these products, like iPulse or iGlow, aren't pharmacy medicines. They are designed to go to the root of a problem rather than just treating symptoms.
But he explicitly states that focusing on cancer patients or diabetic patients is a massive dead end for business growth.
Wait, if I'm selling a health product, why on earth would I actively avoid sick people? That just sounds wrong.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals what Prem Kumar calls the trap of retailing.
The trap of retailing.
Yeah. You have to remember the ultimate goal of the people in that boiler room. The goal isn't to sell a bottle of juice to help someone. The goal is to build a massive geometric income network.
Right. Active income versus passive income.
Exactly. Prem explains that if you sell a bottle to a patient, you might make a quick 500 rupee retail profit. And that quick cash feels good.
Sure.
But it is an emotional and financial trap. It traps the distributor in the mindset of a pseudo-doctor.
Oh, wow.
Suddenly, you start spending all your time checking in on patients, managing their symptoms, explaining their body's reactions, and fielding frantic phone calls.
You essentially become a highly unpaid, uncredentialed nurse.
Exactly.
If you spend 4 hours talking to a diabetic patient about their blood sugar levels, you've made 500 rupees. But if you spend those same 4 hours training a motivated business builder, you might make 50,000 rupees over the next year because they will go out and replicate your efforts.
That is the difference between linear income and geometric growth.
Right.
History, according to Prem, shows that nobody ever becomes a top-tier diamond earner just by retailing to the sick.
Hmm.
A person might buy one bottle. Maybe they tell 3 friends if it works. But to get rich in this model, you need leaders. You're looking for a business partner, not a patient.
Man, it makes total sense from a purely structural perspective. If your time is your most valuable asset, spending it on someone who will never multiply your efforts is a terrible investment.
Yeah.
But finding those elusive entrepreneurs who are ready to build a business is incredibly difficult. And even when you do find them, based on this Q&A, the system itself seems designed to fight you with intense technical friction.
Oh, the internal software and the bureaucracy are massive hurdles.
Yeah, we hear about 2 specific technical issues in the transcript that sound absolutely maddening.
What was the first one?
First, there's Dinesh from Rajasthan. He is trying to rank up to a leadership level called Star 250.
Okay.
But because he built his downline using a mix of different sponsorships, like some people bought 300 PV worth of product, while others were split with 100 PV on the left leg and 100 PV on the right leg, the software glitched.
And just to clarify for everyone, PV stands for point volume. It's the internal currency these companies use to standardize sales value so they don't have to constantly calculate local currency exchange rates.
Right. Good point. So, because of that structural mix-up, the system simply refused to recognize Dinesh's new rank.
Yeah, and Prem tells him he has to use Vmail, their internal email system,
Yeah.
to escalate the issue to the corporate office, which completely kills the momentum of the achievement.
Oh, totally. But the second example is even wilder, and it really highlights the psychological difference between amateur salespeople and top earners.
Oh, Rafikil from Assam.
Yes. Refakil has a massive fish on the line. He has a prospect who used to be in the business, quit for a while, and now wants to come back. And this guy is ready to drop 37,000 rupees to buy in again.
That is a huge win for Rafikil.
A massive win. But there is a catch. Because the prospect had an old, inactive account, the company system requires a 1,000 rupee PAN release fee to clear his old ID before he can start a new one.
And for context, a PAN is a permanent account number, which is India's tax identification system. So this is essentially an administrative unlinking fee.
Exactly. And the prospect absolutely refuses to pay it.
He completely digs his heels in.
He really does. He tells Refakil, look, I'm already giving you 37,000 rupees of my money. I am not paying a 1,000 rupee administrative fine.
Right.
This is a classic cognitive dissonance. In the prospect's mind, the 37,000 rupees is an investment in his future, but the 1,000 rupees feels like a penalty. And human beings fundamentally despise paying penalties.
Yeah, we hate it.
So Rafikul has been stuck on this for 2 whole months. He cannot close a 37,000 rupee deal because of a 1,000 rupee fee.
And while Rafikul is explaining his frustration on the call, another top leader, a guy named Harprasad, literally starts laughing out loud.
This raises an important question. Why on earth is Harprasad laughing at a distributor losing a major sale?
Because Harprasad and Prem Kumar are looking at the exact same scenario, but they're using an entirely different mental model.
Right.
They see this not as a roadblock, but as a simple math equation.
How so?
Well, Prem explains that if Rafikul signs this guy, he instantly makes a 3,000 rupee commission on the spot. Plus, he gets a motivated leader in his downline who might generate tens of thousands of rupees in passive income over the next few years.
So the return on investment is painfully obvious.
Completely. Prem tells Rafikil that a true business owner wouldn't lose a 37,000 rupee recruit over a 1,000 rupee administrative fee.
Right.
The solution doesn't require arguing with the prospect for 2 months. Rafikil should just quietly pay the 1,000 rupees out of his own pocket to make the problem disappear.
That is so simple. And Prem actually admits that he personally has spent 2 or 3 lakhs, which is hundreds of thousands of rupees, just paying off these tiny administrative fees for his recruits over his career.
Wow.
He does it because he understands the long-term value of getting a producer into the system.
Yeah, you have to look at the big picture.
It's fascinating because it underscores the entire theme of the call. To succeed at that highest level, you have to stop thinking like a consumer who is haggling over a checkout fee and start thinking like a CEO making a calculated capital investment. You spend the 1,000 to make the 3,000, and you completely remove your ego from the equation.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Yeah, let's bring it back to the learner.
We've just taken a deep dive into the intense, high-stakes mental models required to survive and thrive in direct selling. It's clearly not just about knocking on doors and reciting facts about a 3,100 rupee health drink.
No, it requires a complete fundamental rewiring of how you view people, problems, and your own time.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from an illness mindset to a wellness mindset to actively avoid the retail trap. It's about viewing a customer's complaint about price not as a rejection, but as an open invitation to recruit them by leveraging their lack of funds.
And honestly, if we extract these principles from the MLM context, they are surprisingly universal.
Very true.
Whether you are in traditional corporate sales, managing a team of software developers, or just trying to manage your own personal time more effectively, the idea of filtering out the part-timers so you can focus your limited energy on the highly committed is a powerful framework.
Yeah.
And learning to treat minor friction, like a silly 1,000 rupee administrative fee, as a simple investment rather than an emotional deal breaker is a mindset that will help you close negotiations in almost any industry.
Absolutely. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, learner. Because stepping back from all these hyper-effective sales tactics, there is a fascinating paradox at the heart of this entire system. We talked at the beginning about pulling back the corporate curtain and looking directly into the boiler room.
Right, getting past the glossy facade.
Exactly. When you look closely at the mechanics of that room, you realize something profound. When a business model relies almost entirely on recruiting leaders to recruit other leaders, when the top mentors explicitly instruct their teams to avoid selling the product to the sick people who actually need its health benefits the most, at what point does the physical product just become an excuse for the network to exist?
Wow. Yeah.
Is the ultimate product actually the premium wellness juice, or is the ultimate product the business opportunity itself?
That is the defining paradox of the entire industry.
It's definitely something to think about the next time someone offers you a life-changing ground floor opportunity. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, learner. Remember to keep questioning the information around you, and we'll catch you next time.